Greetings, friends, and welcome to episode 1 of a new segment that I'm calling Influential Artists and Albums. So, as you can probably guess, this is going to be about artists and bands that have influenced me and some of the records that they've done. Maybe specific ones, maybe all of them, depending on the artist. There are a lot of records that have inspired me over the years, whether it's being a musician or whether it's just being a listener of music and that just records that I enjoy listening to. So there's quite a lot that I could go through. I'm guessing this could be a long running segment. I guess it depends on how you people react to it. But I'd like to start at the beginning for me. And what I mean by the beginning, I'm talking about the beginning of me as a musician. So what was the music that sort of inspired me to start playing music? Now, you'll be kind of surprised. Most people who know me through Project Gemini. And being a progressive metal band, you probably think that it's going to be a lot of progressive bands. And there is certainly a lot of those that will be coming up in future segments, or future episodes. But my start, as far as being inspired in music and playing guitar specifically, revolves around one band. And that band, and I'll show you the CD first. I'm going to go through many different things here, but that band is Black Sabbath. Surprise, surprise. Tony Iommi, to me, is hands down one of the greatest songwriters and riff makers I've heard, period, on guitar. I mean, I think James Hetfield has said it, numerous guitar players have said it, that some of the best riffs in metal or in hard rock music have been already written by Tony Iommi. So his influence is vast on many people, many guitar players, many bands, and I'm no exception to that. I think a lot of the time why people tend to be inspired by Tony Iommi specifically when they first start playing is because, and this is not an insult to him in any way or shape or form, is that his guitar playing is not exactly what I would call complicated. He has a certain feel to him, and a lot of his sound revolves around his tone of his amp and from his hands and what he plays, his SG guitar and stuff like that. And a lot of those great riffs that you hear, like Sweet Leaf or Iron Man or stuff like that, they're not the hardest riffs, but they're very cool. And when you have a loud, distorted amp, they're just amazing. I mean, a lot of that is the case for bands. I mean, Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water, right? I mean, Heartbreaker, Led Zeppelin, or Black Dog. It's not the hardest stuff, but, it sounds cool, right? So I'm going to go through some of the albums that have inspired me from Black Sabbath. I'll go into a bit of detail, and for you people who have been kind of bugging about this before, you're going to get a bit of a treat. I will be doing a little bit of playing during this episode. I'll cut in between with me playing a little bit of a riff from, a little bit of a song from each of the records. Maybe not all of them, but some of them. Just, as a tribute to the man. Now, keep in mind, this is not going to be probably a spotless performance. I mean, I haven't played some of these songs in onward of 30 years on guitar, so it might be a bit sloppy, but what the hell. This is just for fun and just to kind of add in a little something different to my segments. So let's take a look at the first record, and that is Black Sabbath, the debut. Okay, so there you had some of me playing a bit of the intro riff and the outro riff of the opening title song, and that is Black Sabbath. Now, I have very many different iterations and variations of this record, so let me go through some of them with you. So, I, like many people, have decided to check out the reissue market for some of these records. I know there's a vast argument going on about which one of these remasters are the best ones to get. Is it the 2012? Is it the 2009? Is it the 2011? But in any case, I'll show you what I have. So here's my Black Sabbath reissue. I believe this might be the 2012, I think. I'm not 100% certain on this. I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there who will be able to correct me for that. There's the back side of it. This one didn't come with any sort of an insert. Maybe that's a clue. I have, of course, a nice replacement sleeve for it, but you'll see here this is the green label. And if memory serves me correctly, yes it does, this is remastered by Ron McMaster. So that should give you a clue. I think I'm right. I think it might be 2012. Now, people had a bit of an issue with this one because they think that, or claim that this is done off a digital source. To be honest with you, quite honest with you, I think it sounds decent. But it's not my best copy by any stretch of the imagination. That one has just come in recently now. And I'm overjoyed to show this one. I think I might have posted it on a couple of other spots already. Oops, sorry about that. But it's this copy. Now, this copy is a bit beat up, as you can tell here. But that to me makes no difference because it's the music that we listen to, not the covers. Now, if you take a look at the back, you'll notice that side B is very different. You have Evil Woman instead of Wicked World, which means this is a British copy. This is a NEMS copy. If you look at the bottom, it says printed in England, but it is not a wholly UK pressing of this record. I will show you what I mean by that. It came in the original sort of British paper sleeve. This is what's called a Irish pressing. It's pressed in Ireland. Take a look there, you'll see. And yeah, so this one sounds absolutely incredible. I've been playing it for a few days now. And the big story behind these records is that this one was done from an analog source, being that this company was pressing in Ireland. It's not very far from London or where the original tapes were, so they had no issue in giving it to them. So there's that. As I have a CD copy, I believe this is the 2012, I believe, remasters. Yes, on the back there, I kept actually the things for it there. And this one has Wicked World and stuff. And it's a very nice recreation of it. A little bit about the record. This album is by far my favorite Black Sabbath album. When I've gone through, I think 3 or 4 cassette copies of this album, long before I had any sort of a vinyl version of this. Every song on this to me is inspiring to me as a guitar player. I love everything on here. A lot of the songs I would play on a daily basis when I was younger on guitar, and I think at one point it was a ritual of mine to just throw on the tape player and grab my guitar and play this record beginning to end, top to bottom, and I just loved it. And it definitely inspired a lot of my playing, even my lead playing early on, because being that Tony Iommi lives in the pentatonic scale world, it's not the hardest scales to learn, and they're easily, the shapes are movable up and down the neck, so they're easy to use in many circumstances, and it's just all up to your feel. I think that's one of the things about the blues scale that gets sort of overlooked, is that while it is easy, what makes it cool is how good a feel you have, or how good a feel you can develop as a guitar player. So this to me is a great entry point for anybody who wants to get into Black Sabbath, especially if you want to start playing guitar. These songs are very achievable even at an early stage of guitar playing, and the feeling that you get being able to play these songs, I mean, it's fantastic. The feeling of success, being able to do these things, it's just great. So I highly recommend this album. So let's go on to the next influential record. Okay, so the next record, after a little display of Electric Funeral, obviously we must be talking about Paranoid. Now, on vinyl, I have only one pressing of this record. Now, just trying to adjust this so it doesn't fall. Okay, so on vinyl, as far as reissues go, I think I lucked out, because, please give me a second here, what I have is this here. I believe it's a gatefold, yes. Now, this is one of the main records that have all the debating about whether this is the right one to get or the wrong one to get. And the consensus is that the one that I have is the one to get. And I will show you which one that is. So this is the label. And who did this one? Well, I'll tell you in a second when I take a look here just to confirm it. Yes, Kevin Gray. So there you go. Kevin Gray, who I believe at this point, I don't think he was at, I don't remember which place he was actually mastering out of. On the Dead Wax, it does say ATM. So it's probably the later studio that he got into later on. It's, the name is slipping me. I know you're probably yelling at the screen saying, it's that one, dummy. But it's slipping me at the moment. But the Kevin Gray one is the one to have in your collection. Now, I also have, of course, a couple of CD versions. I am not a person who has steered away from CDs. On the contrary, I love CDs and I've stayed with them. Here is a CD version. This is the 2012 remaster. There you go. I have it right there. Again, it's not the best sounding one. I will give it that. It's, you know, but the package is really good. I like the booklets that they've done for these albums. They're really, really nicely done. All kinds of great pictures in here. There's all kinds of, you know, versions of different singles and covers and stuff like that. So this is a really great version of it to get. But I have a copy that I believe is superior to this, and that is this one. Notice the Vertigo on the top. Which one is this? Well, this is the deluxe edition version of it, which has 3 discs. One has the original album, one has the 1974 quadraphonic mix, and the other one is disc 3, which is the bonus tracks, which is just a series of instrumental versions and takes of the album. Now, this is a 2009 release through Sanctuary Music, and I'm sure everybody's going, oh, that's the one to get, that's the one to get. Yeah, that is the one to get, my friends. There's the bonus disc, and I love what they did with the main disc. Check that out. Isn't that cool? Love it. And in here somewhere, I believe housed is the quadraphonic one. Oh no, I showed you the quadraphonic one, so in the middle. The bonus disc is the one that's housed inside. Interestingly enough, I think this booklet is pretty much the same. Yeah, this is the exact same booklet as that's in the one I showed before. So that to me doesn't really matter. I mean, because like again, I'm listening to the music. The information is great, but it's not essential to me. Okay, so that is Paranoid. Paranoid again is another one of the records I delved really deeply into. A lot of songs on here that I loved. You know, Iron Man. You know, you got Electric Funeral. You got Fairies Wear Boots. Paranoid. Hand of Doom. Rat Salad, which is an interesting little instrumental. Fairies. I already said Fairies Wear Boots. Planet Caravan. War Pigs. I mean, who doesn't know these songs on guitar? At least some of it. And again, if you want to be a good rhythm guitar player, there's nobody better to kind of have as a inspiration, I think, than Tony Iommi. He has probably one of the best right hands, picking hands in metal. So great stuff, and I highly recommend it. On to the next record. Ba-doom. Okay, so we had a little bit of Sweet Leaf there. Interestingly enough, I didn't pull up my vinyl version of this record. I have 4 or 5 of them. I have the Quality Records pressing of it. I have the NEMS red vinyl pressing. I also have a Ron McMaster version of it, I believe, as well. But I brought up this version because I think this is one of the ones I enjoy listening to the most. This is the deluxe version on CD. This is a very close, well, this is a number 2 placement of my favorite records from Black Sabbath. You know, the first record kind of narrowly squeaks this one out. I mean, that's cool. Look at that. I'm a sucker for those kind of replications of the tape covers, the master tape covers there. Over on this side is the Vertigo stuff. There you have the other tape on this side here. Great stuff. This is another really good record. Sonically, this record is a vast improvement over the other ones in the sense that they finally were able to get themselves in a studio that had 16 tracks. A little bit more production was able to be done on the songs. The overall sound of the band got a little bit heavier. I also believe that this is the record where Tony Iommi decided that it was a good idea to drop his guitar down to C sharp tuning, which is a third down from normal tuning, which makes it very heavy. And also I remember as a kid when I was trying to figure out these songs, was a source of great agony to me. I would get to songs like Children of the Grave and listen to it and think to myself, okay, that's definitely the lowest string on the guitar, but why does my guitar not sound like his? You know, because of course I was tuned in standard E 440 and he's dropped down to C sharp. Then finally when I read in a guitar magazine that this was the case, that what he was doing was dropping down, I was like, oh, okay. Grabbed my little Boss tuner, tuned the whole guitar down to C sharp, and eureka, it was the right tuning. And what a difference it made sonically as well. I mean, holy smokes. I think the paintings on my wall in my bedroom at that time were shaking when you start hitting a low C sharp chord like that. Again, if you want to learn some great songs, you got a whole bunch there. Sweet Leaf, After Forever, Children of the Grave, Lord of this World, Into the Void, which probably has one of the coolest guitar riffs ever in a song. This is a must-have to own and a fantastic example of heavy metal songwriting. Next album. Okay, so that was a half decent attempt at playing Snowblind. And we're talking about volume 4. I do have a vinyl example of this record here. And again, as luck would have it, in the world of vinyl pressings and arguments that go online, it seems I've lucked out and I have the pressing to get. Here is the front cover. It's absolutely in fantastic mint condition. Obviously, I've been taking good care of these reissues. Let's take a look inside the gatefold. There you go. This is the one that has the sort of insert here, booklet. Be careful, I don't want to rip anything. Can hardly see what I'm doing. But yeah, there's different things inside the booklet. And of course, as I was talking about before, the running ongoing debate about which is the one to have. Again, we are in the green, olive green label land here. And surprise, surprise, the one to have is done by our friend here with the CB initials in the dead box, which is Chris Bellman. So this is apparently the best pressing. I have listened to this numerous times and it is great. It is like, it's like listening to the hammer of God coming down on the world. It's so thunderous and fantastic sounding, this album. Of course, I also have the 2012 remaster of this as well. Of course, not as good as the vinyl in my opinion, but it is a great copy nonetheless. I will stand by that comment every day of the week. And again, this is why I love CDs still. You have the opportunity to do these kinds of extra things that are not always able to be done on vinyl, or maybe some record companies just don't feel like putting in this vast amount of information on a vinyl pressing, which shame on you. It's something that I'm hoping I can do more on my upcoming albums, is make a more elaborate booklet for my supporters. So, volume 4, a lot of people started to think that these guys were getting a little too experimental on this record. I tend to agree. Wheels of Confusion is great. Tomorrow's Dream is one of my favorite songs. Changes is a classic. But then you have FX, which is just basically Tony Iommi playing with a digital delay unit and just plucking strings randomly for whatever reason. I don't know how that can be even put down as a song. Laguana Sunrise is okay. It's kind of almost like a Western tune. Cornucopia is pretty heavy. Snowblind, I love it. That's what I played earlier before this album started here. St. Vitus Dance and Under the Sun is good. It's still a strong album, but this is where their use of cocaine really ramped up. In fact, I think this is where they actually probably started their big cocaine binging. So it'll start having an effect on the band as the years continue, especially Mr. Ozzy Osbourne and Tony Iommi. So again, though, now it starts getting a little bit complicated more on guitar. When you have such kind of songs like Laguana Sunrise and stuff like that. So I still think if you're an entry-level guitar player, there are still songs on here you could play and figure out. But I would still stick with the first three as far as that go. But for listening purposes, it's a great record. Okay, on to the next record. So, the next record I have here, Sabotage. This is the what is this? This is a not 2012. This is a 2009 Sanctuary release. So there you go. This is it's funny because I was thinking for a second that I remember this one sounding really, really good, and I didn't think that there was no way this was a 2012, and it's not. It's a fantastic version of it. It's obviously, I believe this is a British release. I believe Sanctuary ones were all UK, I believe. A lot of cool little things like this in here. Yeah. This again, it's a time in their career where they were suing their former manager. There's a lot of lawyers hopping in and out of the studio. They claimed that they didn't make a good a record as they could have, and I probably agree. But Hole in the Sky is a classic. Symptom of the Universe has got to be probably one of their heaviest songs they ever wrote. The rest of it is, it's all right. The writ is nothing too spectacular. Am I Going Insane is not up my alley. Megalomania is all right. Don't Start Too Late is another one of these Tony Iommi, minute and a half pieces that are not too important. Could be left off the record in my opinion, but Thrill of It All is okay. It's not their best record, but it's still a must-have if you're a Black Sabbath fan. Really quickly here, because I don't have any more audio segments as far as me playing, so I'll just go through the rest of what I have. Black Sabbath's greatest hits. Now this is something I got a long time ago. This I believe is a NIMS pressing. It's kind of confusing though if that actually is what it is, because you look at this, it's a kind of odd looking CD, and I don't remember their ones looking like this. But it does have the NIMS catalog number, and it says on here at the bottom, CSL NIMS 6002, right where my finger is there. So obviously that's what it is. It's a bit noisy, this one. It's a bit noisy. A lot of obviously they did use an analog source for this, but not the best quality pressing of this. Now the last couple I have here is I have this beauty, Black Sabbath Live at Last. This is one of my favorite live albums. I remember getting this version originally in Germany when I went with my uncle, and I ended up giving it away to a guy, and I just recently got this version now. The one I had like a sunny side up egg here instead of this center label, so I believe that was an original German release. This is the UK NEMS pressing of it. Great stuff, and it shows how energetic they were live, but also they weren't exactly the tightest band live, but hey, that's Sabbath. Okay, now interesting enough though, on that recording appeared on this release, Past Lives. If you look at the back, CD1 is exactly the same show. CD2 is a bunch of various different live appearances by the band. This is a really good CD to own. They did release this on vinyl as well, but it's expensive as hell, and I still haven't been able to find a vinyl copy anywhere where I live. I did see it once. I should have bought it at the time, but of course I passed on it like a fool. But I'm more than happy to have the CD. As I said, I am not somebody who frowns on CDs. I love CDs still and get them whenever possible. In fact, if I can, I usually try to get vinyl and CD. There you go. So again, this is another great example of them live. By this point, I had really being neck deep in Sabbath, I really enjoyed excuse me, I really enjoyed this material. But then there was a change that happened, and Ozzy was gone, and another record happened. So let's cut. Okay, so that was a little bit of Heaven and Hell, which means that we're going to take a look at really quickly the album of the same title. Oops, sorry, I bumped that stupid microphone. This is my Canadian pressing of Heaven and Hell. It's not a first pressing, but it is an early one. I'm pretty sure. Why I'm kind of confused about it, I didn't look it up yet on Discogs. I've had this record for a long time, but I'm not 100% certain if at this point they had dropped the Warner Brothers Palm Tree center labels, because this has the more well-known, I guess, later on, these just the Warner Brothers label here. This album to me is a classic, and again is an album that if you're a guitar player and want to learn guitar, Tony kind of went back to a bit more of his roots, didn't kind of got away from the kind of crazy odd Laguna Sunrises and all those kind of songs, and excuse me, went back to more of his rootsier metal playing. And there's a lot of songs here that you could pick up on guitar, and he's back to, I believe he was either in standard or maybe even E flat tuning, but yeah, Neon Nights, you know, Children of the Sea, there's all kinds of great stuff on here, you know. There's Heaven and Hell, Die Young, Lonely is the Word, Wishing Well, Lady Evil is a favorite of mine. Great song, incredible guitar playing, and Geezer Butler is on fire on this record. So that's that. Now I have one more thing to show you for the end of this segment, and that is Born Again. Gone was Dio, in was Ray Gillen for a record. I have the vinyl. I never play it because it is an abomination of audio, in my opinion. I hate the way it sounds. This sounds better. It was remastered, I believe. No, it's not. It says it's the original album. Okay, so I think I probably bought this because obviously it's the deluxe edition. Yeah, if this is in fact the same original mix of it, then it's nothing really to speak of. But there is a second disc, and on this you have a Live at Reading Festival show for this tour. It's down at the bottom there. You can see they've done War Pigs, Black Sabbath. They did a few songs off of this album. They also did Iron Man, and they also did Smoke on the Water there, which must have been very shocking for Sabbath fans to hear. And there's the accompanying discs for it. I'll pull out the booklet really quickly for you guys to check out. I never really got into this record too much as far as playing or learning anything off of this. Like I said, I just think this record sounds terrible. The songs are not bad on here, but whoever was mixing this record needs to get their hearing checked, because it's just terrible. But there's the infamous Stonehenge stage that they were only able to use in a couple of shows because it was so huge, and is also the centerpiece of the long-running joke in the Spinal Tap movie. There you go. So this lineup only lasted for this record. Gone was Ian Gillan, sorry, and they moved on with various other singers, including Tony Martin, and then Dio returned, and I had lost interest in Sabbath by that point. I was listening to a lot of other stuff like Metallica and Anthrax and stuff like that, and slowly getting into my progressive music. But when Dio returned for Dehumanizer, I was all in. I loved that record. I was hoping that he would have stayed longer. He stayed for one record and one tour. And but in concluding this segment, I'm going to say this: Tony Iommi is a great guitar player. Every record that you will get quality guitar playing from him, some great guitar tones, and lots of things that you can pick up and try to learn on guitar that will make your playing better. So that is why Black Sabbath is inspirational to me and influential to me, and specifically Tony Iommi as a guitar player is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is segment 1. Episode 1. Episode 2 will come up soon, I'm sure. And I'll try to work on this to make this a bit smoother as a episode. And I hope you enjoyed this one though, and learned a little bit about my musical influences. That's what this is going to be all about. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, and leave your comments below. Let me know what kind of Sabbath stuff you're into, what kind of Sabbath stuff you learned on guitar if you're a guitar player, and I'm anxious to read your comments. So take care, have a great weekend. I believe for you Americans, it's a long weekend, so have a great Monday as well. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.